Hello, and welcome to the CTS, the Chris Truby Show. And thank you all very much for joining us today. We have a great show lined up for you. And as always, I'm joined here on the CTS by my good friends and co-hosts. Fiero, how's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good, sir. Another day, another show. I'm excited.
I am too. This is going to be fun. And also, rejoining us here today, Gopher Mike is back with us after moving day. Welcome back, buddy. You missed a good show last week.
I did. I listened to it. I enjoyed it. It was a great learning experience. But yes, I'm happy to be done moving and happy to be back. I am pumped for this episode.
Very good, sir. Very good, sir. We're going to have a good one today as well, I guarantee. How was moving?
Well, I'm sure everybody listening has moved before, so they know exactly how moving was. It was a full body marathon for about 2 days. I'm feeling it.
Is it? I've always wondered how, the less fortunate move. You had to do it all yourself?
Yeah, none of those big moving companies. You know how it goes.
I don't. I usually hire dudes that look like you. Be like, put it over there.
I need a couple of me to boss around then.
Are our poor jokes from Atlantis After Dark spilling over here? I just want to know.
Whoa, now.
Always. They follow me everywhere.
Just like your credit report.
Oh, how I missed you.
Good.
How I missed you, Fiero.
Right? I love you too.
Love you, man.
We got nothing but love here on CTS. That's just how we roll. And speaking of love, we have a fantastic guest on CTS today who happens to love what she does. And so do a lot of other people. You can find her on Twitch. Her channel is APEcast, and she has a number of followers. She does this full time. She makes a living doing this, which is why we invited her on, because I think it's fascinating. Somebody who makes a living playing video games. That's just awesome to me. Welcome to the show, Becca. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing good, Chris. What about you?
We're doing okay. You've heard us at the top of the show. We like to have fun around here. So I wanted to start off by asking you, how did you fall into this line of work? Is it something you always wanted to do? And what was the decision like to leave the traditional workforce?
So I'm gonna start at the beginning, how I found Twitch and stuff, no?
Absolutely.
I was basically playing Dota 2. I don't know if you guys know that game.
I know.
Yeah,
I don't.
I was playing Dota 2, and every time I played, I was adding people, or we added each other after playing games together to find more people to simply play with. And then I heard from a friend that I also found through gaming online. I heard something about Twitch and that people stream Dota, and I was thinking about finding like-minded people, and voila, I found tons of people to play Dota with. As it was merely a hobby without a donation panel or any fancy anything, literally socials, no idea, no clue. Yeah. You could do streaming as a job back then, and in fact, my community later on pushed me towards getting that button. I was back then in a full-time job, and I studied part-time on weekends, and I simply squeezed in streams when I wanted to. It was more like I would anyways game, so I can also turn on the stream, and people seem to enjoy it, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Right. So what was your previous job, if you don't mind me asking?
My previous job, I worked in the bank as a bank consultant back then when I started Twitch. So that was my main job, 40 hours a week. Wow. Additionally, next to it, I already started studying aside. And yeah, it was always on Fridays and Saturdays, and everything worked out. I squeezed in streams when I wanted, when I could. But after 1.5 years, I kind of had to reduce hours in my main job in order to be present at my university on Fridays. And I had mandatory attendance on Fridays and Saturdays. And I also needed a full day to learn and stuff. And my company back then that I worked at, they kind of lacked people, and I ended up working more again and accumulated hours. And then they wanted me to give the time off in form of, just time whenever they didn't need me. But that didn't work out for me, and I was still living at home. So I was able to live a bit from savings. And I thought, let's finish my studies without this full-time jobs aside. And I kept streaming, and that worked out for me. That's basically how it started. Still not with the intention to make this my profession. But that's basically how it started, that I went also not full-time back then. It was merely part-time.
So you literally just
fell into it.
Yeah, exactly. It really happened. It was never planned or anything. I really just slid into it. It just happened for me. Really crazy.
Sounds like a lot of the support and the push from it came from your followers or the people you were playing the game with. They seem to respect your craft, I should say, and kind of pushed you towards that direction. That's awesome. They did that. It had to make you feel a lot more comfortable to turn around and make that decision.
Yeah, that was crazy. But you also got to say, I was fortunate enough to still live at home, and I wasn't living somewhere else while studying. So I don't know. In Germany, I would say just living from your Twitch income is almost impossible, at least if you're my size, because taxes and healthcare will eat you. Mm-hmm. So that's why I also basically started looking for sponsors last year. And I'm doing my baby steps now. It depends a lot on the circumstances of each content creator, like living situation, country, all these kind of things, no?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, because Germany does have universal health coverage.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, you pay from your income. Also it's mandatory, but everybody pays from the income, basically. For example, I have an autoimmune disease. And normal healthcare companies denied me because if you're self-employed, you have to have a health insurance. Yeah. And then I had to pay to the governmental one for a long time, which is twice as expensive. And I luckily tried and finally got accepted in the artist insurance here, where I also pay a lot, but a part of it goes additionally towards pension savings, which is a blessing. I was so sad back then when they all denied me just because of a shitty autoimmune disease. No, everybody pays off of their income. It's just mandatory here. Everybody has it,
That's probably the things most people don't think about when they're considering going full-time into streaming or whatever is your health insurance sides of things. There's a lot of other red tape, I guess I can say you had to figure out there.
Especially is your health fine and you get accepted. You don't think about those things earlier, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of struggles you actually had to deal with behind the scenes just to get your feet flat back on the ground after leaving a traditional workforce.
Exactly.
How long did that take you to get everything set up? In other words, your health care, taxes, because it's not like a traditional workforce where you're getting a paycheck from somebody.
I'm still in the process, and I work together with my taxes consultant. It's pretty difficult, especially if you're streaming internationally and you have people from all around the world, and work together with sponsors from all around the world, not just from your country, for example. That is a difficult thing about it. So you need help.
That's a lot of paperwork you got to go through.
Yeah, exactly. It's a shitload of paperwork and I sometimes don't even know if a lot of streamers are actually informed themselves if you want to do it really, really correctly, And especially in Germany, we are the country of paperwork.
The paperwork country.
I suppose you could.
But how come actually that you guys think it's for free in Germany, healthcare?
I think there's just an assumption.
For me, I used to live in the States, so I'm used to paying for health coverage. But I've been living in the UK for the past almost 3 years.
Theirs for free.
Yeah, we pay for it through taxes, but if you don't have a job, you still get it for free. And I guess this is my American side coming out. I'm like, England used to be in the EU. It's still in Europe, but I was like, I guess everyone has universal health coverage or free health care. And now I know I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's basically like if you are the person, like if you are the company who has their employees and you pay your employees, it already gets deducted from your gross income. You can see that. So if I would be employed somewhere, I get my net earnings, but between that there is already the stuff for healthcare and pension and stuff that the company pays. No?
Kind of similar to how Medicaid's taken out of our checks over here. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Just that we can't choose. Everybody has to have it, basically. No.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We used to be like that in the States, right? When Obamacare came out, everyone had to have insurance, and then they got rid of that.
Yeah, they turned it into a mandate.
You had to have it, but they would just penalize you at the end of the year along with your income taxes.
Right.
Why did people actually get rid of it? You don't like it over there to get told that you need healthcare?
We could get into American healthcare and the woes all day long. We could probably have a series of episodes about that.
Series about healthcare and differences.
But now that you have how do I phrase it? You're getting pension now as well, though, correct?
Yeah, I pay like a bigger amount to my artist's health insurance, and I pay half of it basically for my health insurance, and the other half for my pension, which is like a special insurance that you have to apply for and meet certain criteria in order to get accepted.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions about how retirement's going to work. Because, like you said, in a traditional job, it just comes out of your wages, retirement, healthcare. So... I guess some people have like, I want to retire by the time I'm 60 or 65.
Yeah.
Have you? I don't know. You love what you do, so do you ever see yourself? I mean, of course you'll want to retire, I assume, at some point, but I guess, what are your future goals with streaming and what you plan on doing?
I want to stream as long as I can, but you never know how long this will be possible because, maybe we will be the generation where people can be still streaming with 60. I hope.
I can't wait to tune into Grandma streaming.
Grandma. But
live from the nursing home.
Oh my God!
Welcome to my stream, baboonies.
Baboonies, I'm gonna tell you some stories and little fairy tales. I think I'm really interested into this. On marketing and community management and all these kind of things, commercials, online advertising. And I'm always, learning and informing myself already off stream. I work together with companies also, and I organize and plan campaigns. And I'm having so much fun with it that I definitely see myself in another company, like part-time, if I get the chance or the opportunity. I'm getting a lot of experience and expertise already in what I do, and I know that a lot of companies appreciate that, and you don't have to have the degree in marketing or anything. You do already community management if you have a community, if you run a Discord for years. You have certain qualities already if you're a streamer or content creator.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize how many moving parts are behind this, really. Aside from your taxes and your income and your health insurance, you have to be basically a one-person stimulus package for yourself. You are the marketing department. You are the management.
Yeah.
You are the worker. You are the boss.
This is also the problem. This is also a problem because you never outsource something. Like it's the thing with a company. If someone does everything themselves, the performance can lag. That's why you outsource, so the main source can focus on their tasks and their job. So a one-man company, that's the problem I think a lot of streamers have, that they have to do everything themselves until they get a bit bigger.
I'm curious. As part of setting up as a self-employed person now, as a streamer, you had to set up the health insurance, you had to do the pension. At some point, did you have to make yourself a company? Or is your Twitch stream a company, a registered company now, or do you just file everything as your name? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, I'm still a single person company.
Okay.
I'm not what is that? Non-restricted liability companies in English? I have no idea about the terms in English, but
limited liability.
Yep. I'm none of those yet. I'm still a single person company.
Interesting. That's cool.
That would be the goal, and it would be financially better if you ever upgrade.
Yeah, if you get to LLC.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's all registered. I'm registered with my stream name.
Yeah, so nobody can take APEcast and use it as their own.
Yeah, exactly.
Name or whatever. That's awesome. So it is protected and everything. That's cool. That's very cool.
Good. That's good.
Why did you rebrand? Because you used to have another name. What was your motivation to, I guess, change your name?
It was basically my name back then was WooGirl, and my community was called the Wooligans. So, and that is a bit of a tricky name to apply to sponsors, as simple as that.
Oh, sure.
So
sure.
I was looking for another name, and we did that together. It was we sat together in Discord, and we're doing the whole rebranding process together. And in the end, a suggestion from a mod of mine, from a community member, won that we call the channel APEcast. And so nobody felt kind of weird or like they couldn't identify anymore, because everybody got kind of involved into the brand changing process.
That's pretty cool. Got the whole community involved in it. That had to make them feel special when that event took place.
Absolutely.
So what are your workload hours like? Like, how many hours a week do you put into this thing?
At the moment, a lot. Yeah. Also,
because it's not just 40
there are many
hours.
cool projects happening. No, it's sadly not just 40 hours, but the time flies, and you kind of have to force yourself to not work if you're self-employed. I think everybody who's self-employed knows that. If they really love something, they end up having to force themselves to take a break and stuff. And yeah, I also, like, as I said, I have a lot of cool projects and possibilities at the moment. That's why I actually enjoy every moment. But I'm careful that I never hit a wall. I eat well, I do exercises, I do walks, yoga. I mean, I have also a standing desk. And for example, last week I took off 2 days where I worked a bit off stream, but I also took some time to just relax and let my calendar be my calendar. And I also additionally always tell myself in the evenings, no work after 8 p.m. That sometimes works, not always, because I still manage everything alone. And sometimes I sit there until 10, but I really try to call it a day and play some games with my community in the evenings.
And I gotta say, I was checking out your Twitch stream, and there was a link to your Instagram. You have a phenomenal set of abs for somebody who streams all day. I just want to say that. You've got like an 8-pack going on.
Yeah, that's important
hardcore.
to me.
Yeah.
That's important to me, to be a fit gamer and also to motivate my community to get active, because it's so scary. You can get disc prolapses from sitting all the time. We always also implement some workouts on the stream.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome that you do that.
Yeah. It was a bit weird back then for some people, but I'm happy it got accepted now because it's so important. Twitch also has now fitness categories and stuff. That's something that you didn't have back then. You just had gaming. You didn't even have just chatting. So I think it's really cool that you can switch to those categories and do a little bit of like healthcare, self-care.
Now, do you put that on a schedule?
Yep. We have Fit Fridays now always. We do a workout, especially during lockdown now, because I usually go to the gym. So that is not so much on stream, but at least I take people with me on Insta. But now with lockdown and my gyms are closed, we bring baboonies, like community members, on camera. We do workouts together.
Sure.
We have off-stream Discord groups where we do workouts together, like the full program.
That's awesome. So APEcast is turning more into lifestyle than it is a gaming thing.
Yep. Definitely.
With the workout and everything. That's very cool.
Tune in, Mike. Do some push-ups.
Hey,
do some planks.
I'm fit, okay?
I mean, he's the guy who actually does the moving. You're the guy who orders people to go, right?
Come on, guys.
Maybe I should tune in for some planks. I was going to ask about burnout. I mean, like, I'm a teacher. I love teaching.
Yeah.
But, I do it 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
9 months out of the year. So I have 3 months, where I'm just off work, vacation, relaxing. Like, you love gaming, and I can see that that's one of your passions. But I see you on your stream, and then usually in Discord, I see you also gaming with other people from the community and your friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever come any points where you're just like, oh, I just need like a week off gaming, or just I need to take a break?
I have the thought, but it's really hard to take a break in that industry because you lose your momentum like in a glimpse of a moment, really. And I know it's really important that people just take off if they need time. But I do think I've in the whole time that I've been streaming, I created my channel in 2015. I've never had a burnout, and I'm always pretty open about it. If I need time for myself, I get it, because the feedback that I get is that I'm always cheerful, or I create a positive atmosphere in my channel, and that's so important. And you gotta stick to some guidelines off stream or behind the scenes in order to be mentally on point. And that is, for example, to restrict a certain amount of conversations each day, to not check social media or play a competitive game before a stream, because all those kind of things can affect your mood. If you play a competitive game, you lose the game, you're tilted. Or if you see only people complaining on Twitter or something, it can affect your mood. So I'm really very, very thoughtful about what I consume, with which people I hang, until I don't have to perform and I have some spare time to also deal with negative things. And that helps me.
That's very interesting. I never would have even considered that, all the different things that could affect your mood before you're up there in front of the audience. You don't want to go in there pissed off. So
I think there are a lot of people sometimes who go offline and just cry because some people have been mean or have been very thoughtless in stream, I mean, it's really hard. You get constantly opinions from everyone. You have to have a thick skin, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to protect yourself. And if you don't feel it, the stream can go very, very very wrong, I mean, because you might end up being upset about everything and butthurt about everything.
You're not kidding. We all know how cruel and toxic the wonderful World Wide Web can be. So, I mean, you're really putting yourself out there in a vulnerable state. So you got to be ready to take anything.
I think, honestly, if I learn something, then I learned everything about my weaknesses. You get constantly comments about it. If you are good in a game or suck in a game, if you have a big nose, if you have this and that, if I learn something, there's actually nothing that people could attack me with that I don't know, because I know it. I know my flaws, my weaknesses. And if I stall or if I take long in a certain game, I know it, and I can make fun out of it. I can make fun out about myself, and they cannot target me anymore. So that's something you really got to learn.
Right, and I was going to follow up with that, because how many followers do you have?
I mean, on Twitch I have 40,000 now.
Right, so
yeah, it was around
40,000. It's a lot, right? It's a big number. The point I'm trying to make here is, how do you handle the availability to your community? In other words, how do you handle off-stream interactions like DMs or Discords or social media? Do you answer people daily? Because that's got to be daunting.
I do not answer daily, but I have a priority list. Number one is always Twitch. I think if it's something important or people just want to know how you're doing and stuff, I think they can come to my channel. I cannot answer, even though I appreciate it if people check in, I cannot answer 20 messages with how you're doing and have 20 small talks. I'm always like quality over quantity. And if you want to have a chat, come to my Twitch. Second of all, Discord. I check my Discord messages every day. And then it comes later, Twitter and Instagram. Of course, if it's something really important, I have my email, which I check, of course, daily. If it's something that someone has a question, technical-wise, stream-wise, needs help, I'm always there to answer. But I really limit it. I do not feel bad if I don't answer anymore, because I need to, as I said, I need to perform. And in order to be cheerful and positive and energized, I cannot be exhausted through conversations with people. And I'm an introverted person, rather. I really get exhausted a lot from that. And I know myself. That's why I restrict it a lot.
Got it.
Well, now I know why these two never answer my messages.
No, that's just because we don't like you.
We don't like you.
Yeah. We hate to be the bearer of bad news. I know we have a lot of questions.
Mike, you got to stop smoking.
I gotta stop smoking.
I'm on my lunch break, homie.
He's over there burning one.
Do you treat Patreon differently? Because, I follow you on Patreon as well, and there's like a lot of posts. I guess you seem a little bit more vulnerable or raw on Patreon as opposed to some of your other ones. And is there like a reason for that, or?
It's just I love to write about nutrition and I love to write about studies that I found about nutrition, cancer, etc. Autoimmune diseases, how to deal with things in life, or how you feel also the downside sometimes that you cannot always show while being on stream. I love to give fitness advices. I do a lot of recipes there and meals. It's more like a hobby. I don't see it as a source of income. It's really just a hobby where I play around, and I post whenever I feel like, and I don't see the urge to post something. And it's also, Patreon itself has still a bad taste because some people did like loots on it. So it's not something that I advertise. It's just like a blog for me, but I don't want to have that blog public. That's why I use Patreon for it. And have it basically, you have to be a sub there in order to see the posts. And I can take it down whenever I want. It's just like me writing blog posts, thoughts, and stuff that I feel like, anything I want.
So it's completely different content then, for the most part, on your Patreon, it sounds like, than what you offer on Twitch.
She had a cooking stream. That was nice.
It's not different, actually. I do talk a lot, real talk on stream as well. I give advice on stream as well. As Jonathan mentioned, I do cooking streams on my stream. We talk a lot about nutrition and fitness. It's basically just a supportive tool, but nothing that I actively advertise because I wouldn't even keep up with posting regularly.
Mm-hmm. So do you actually do cooking on that channel?
Yeah. Tomorrow I have a cooking stream.
Oh my God. What's your favorite recipe?
My favorite recipe at the moment is my vegan gluten-free burgers.
Oh, wow.
I really love it. We did it last week. It's a nice meat replacement. I mean, I'm not a vegan, but I'm trying to be more thoughtful, and I mostly never buy meat for at home. If I crave, then I buy outside something. And I want to try around a bit to live more healthy and be a good influence on people.
Well, I'm going to have to check that out. I mean, I only watched your Twitch stream for gaming. I didn't check anything out on the Patreon site. So.
Yeah, I also have podcasts. I do everything. As Mike said, a lifestyle streamer. I'm gonna invite someone from a gaming company over this week, and who will be talking about jobs in gaming, and we make a little job fair because people can't attend any job fairs in 2021, and they couldn't in 2020. They couldn't meet their companies at conventions or anything. How will they get the contacts? And that's what we do it on stream now.
So you're really doing a lot to help the online community.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's
always
amazing.
Trying to create value, I mean, value, you can discuss value, but what's value for me?
Man, I feel like we don't do enough.
Right.
You're doing enough. I like your podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We like your Twitch.
I don't think we've actually asked this question. What are some of your favorite games to stream?
Yeah.
So that changed. Back in the day, I was a more rather competitive Dota 2 streamer. I was only playing Dota as a main game, and focus on playing ranked matches and stuff. But then I didn't enjoy it that much because you cannot focus on the chat so much. Once you check the chat, you lack minimap awareness or anything, which is important in the game if you want to perform. And then I kind of changed my main game into variety streaming. And now I'm focusing on the chat box fully. My community has priority, and then comes the game. And games that I think are comfortable is, for example, Souls-like games, or some community games, let's say Valorant or Dead by Daylight. You can play that on community even Sundays, or Worms. All kinds of games, really. I play everything. I also play the latest titles where I can pause the game, like Cyberpunk, and have a chat about something. I hate if I can't pause the game. Sometimes in Witcher, I love Witcher. Witcher is one of my favorite games. I played it 2 times, one time even on Death March, but you can't pause in the important sentences or dialogues. This annoys me so much. But yeah, all kinds of games, really.
Wasn't there a problem with Cyberpunk? Help me through that, because I'm not really familiar with what happened there.
You don't even know what Cyberpunk is.
I don't. I put my hand in the air. I do not know what Cyberpunk is. I'm old.
I mean, it's from the same company that made Witcher, CD Projekt Red, and they also have these dialogues that you have to follow. And I feel like you have to have a lot of tech knowledge to follow. And I have a lot of questions with that game always, because I sometimes can't follow.
You were going to ask something, weren't you, Mike?
It kind of went in line with that. You mentioned the chat box.
Yeah.
Was that something hard to get used to when you first started streaming? You know, you're playing the game and then you got to watch the chat box and try and respond as well. And I'm assuming you're responding in text sometimes as well as verbally.
Yeah. It was really hard, especially when you want to be good in a game and perform, and then you feel like your performance lacks if you read a lot of chat. But I started to not define myself or my gaming confidence through gaming achievements, because I know that I'm a good gamer and I know in which games I'm good. And I can also fail if I want, because that's also entertaining. I can rage, I can stall, I can do whatever I want to do, and it doesn't define me, and I don't feel bad about myself anymore, which is why I can focus on the chat box and also fail in the game if it happens, you know, or drive against the wall, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm not a bad gamer because of that. I'm a very engaging streamer, and I love to focus on the chat box right now, and I enjoy it. And I don't want to miss out messages. Sometimes I even go through the bot and I'm like, oh, damn, I missed that message. And then I go through it again and maybe address it the next stream.
Unfortunately, as men, Chris, Mike, they kind of know, men are sometimes quite toxic towards women streamers. So are there any perks to being like a female streamer that a male streamer wouldn't have? Or are there any instances where it's worse?
Also, that question implies that there are more men on Twitch who want to see female streamers, basically, a little bit, when we come to that perks as a female streamer or not. But in general, biggest streamers on Twitch are still men. And those people who sometimes complain are often people who, if you check out their channels, have a forehead camera, like you see literally just the forehead. And they don't manage to read and keep up with 2 messages in chat, but kind of complain that some female streamers take their views or whatever. I always say, if that happens, reflect your own content and no one will ever steal you any viewers if you do a good job. That about perks. And I think looks and being in the general eye attractive helps to get clicks on a channel, but it would never make people stay, because I do think that content and character is what makes people stay, and that everyone can work on those 2 things. And there are always people out there who might look especially for a female streamer, of course. But to not generalize it, I can name a couple of channels where attractive men have many women also in their chat and get massive financial support from them, you know? That's not only a thing that happens in female channels, just to be fair. Just looks also can be incredibly boring. I think if you don't feel entertained, you might like shortly click on a channel and then you're gone again.
Yeah, definitely.
But if we're talking about perks, I also do believe that a male streamer does not constantly get comments like show cleavage or show bobs, even though you might wear 365 days a year a t-shirt or hoodie. It often feels like you don't even get a chance, but people always talk about perks being a female streamer, you know? And let's not even talk about how it feels when you talk competitive in the in-game chat, and people tell you, you're a woman, go back to the kitchen where you belong to. And I do really think in the end, those channels on Twitch where people play with their looks have their right to exist as long as there is so much demand for them. In the end, it's the viewers who rule over demand and supply, and not the content creators.
Well said.
Well said.
100% agree.
I mean, I could add something. For example, I carry a responsibility as content creator, and I address regularly that Twitch is not Tinder, and that I will never date a viewer of mine. If I sense that a person, for example, expects something in return for financial support or being a sub, I always address it. And it happened already that I sent money back, for example. I never flirt with my viewers in DMs. However, I do not think that it's the creator's fault if viewers get emotionally attached to streamers. And I also don't judge anyone who does not feel the responsibility that I do, because everybody should be able to manage their own finances in the end. I just don't want people to overspend or support with wrong intentions, you know?
Yeah, yeah. This isn't OnlyFans. This is Twitch, right?
Yeah, but even if people treat their Twitch like that, or flirt or whatever, have a lot of conversation going on behind the scenes and get financial support out of that, who am I to judge, you know, if that works for them, if that's their concept. Did you guys have the experience that you had less perks as a male streamer when you tried?
Well, when we were streaming, I mean, me and this guy from Alaska, we streamed quite a few years ago under the name. I don't think we had... I guess, how do I explain it? Our fans... It's weird to explain because I don't really know how we became a thing. We started gaming together, And then we had like a group, like a clan of SPS players, because that's what we used to play. We used to play like Battlefield and stuff like that. And they were like our main viewers or whatever. And we just kind of grew from that. And we grew to a healthy amount before we stopped. I mean, we got invited to go to Stockholm to go to the DICE headquarters,
cool.
And stuff like that. Concurrently, we would have anywhere from 800 to 1,300 viewers on any stream. So, I mean, we were moderately successful. And as two unattractive men, we didn't really have the problem with, women going, woo, show us some bulge. It was more like, woo, turn off the camera.
The camera.
But I mean, for us, the reason he stopped, his house burned down, unfortunately, in Alaska.
Jesus.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's all right. But then after that, he ended up getting another job. And we kind of just broke away from streaming together. And then I was streaming by myself for a while, and I wasn't having a good time.
It's not the same anymore, no?
It wasn't the same. And
your buddy on stream.
Kind of like how you said, keeping up with chat. I had a hard time doing it by myself. It was easier because we like to play the competitive games where, you had to pay attention. And it was easier, he was off playing and, I was kind of holding back, talking to all the people. Or he would die, I would move up, and then he would kind of talk.
Yeah.
So when it was just me all the time, I have terrible ADD or something where I would pay attention too much to the game, and I inherited all our viewers when I went solo, and chat was going way too fast for me to keep up with. And I started feeling bad that I wasn't talking to people the way I used to before. And that just kind of snowballed into the fact that I wasn't having that much fun anymore, and why I eventually quit. And now I like to watch.
Yeah, I get that somehow you feel like you can't live up to the expectations anymore.
And
right? And you might start feeling bad about your performance or your content.
I didn't want to put out a subpar product. And for me, it was never about, like, I love playing video games, but I like playing video games with friends. And that's kind of what it started out as. And my main passion in life is teaching. And I was never going to become a full-time streamer. Yeah. And when I went solo by myself, like I said, I had those problems. And then I actually started finally teaching. So then I didn't have enough time to stick to my schedule anymore, and then I just had to make a choice between streaming or teaching, and I went with teaching.
Especially as teaching already consumes a lot of hours, and then additionally you might end up with no free time actually.
and like you said, you take a vacation or something and you might lose subscriptions or viewers or whatever. So nobody was going to want to watch me streaming during the summertime during my break and then be gone for 9 months.
Yeah that's a problem. If you're not consistent, then you lose your momentum, no?
Yeah, definitely.
No.
I got a question. You sound like you're very, very passionate about gaming. So this has nothing to do with Twitch or anything like that. I'm just curious, what got you originally into gaming? What was like the first game or whatever it was?
The first game that I ever played was probably something on the computer out of the Kellogg's box, Tony and Friends or something. I don't know if you know that one. Snake. Oh yeah, but my phone came later, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know.
We're not that old, Chris.
What? Come on.
I mean, my PC hours back then were restricted. I had 1 hour a day where I could game. And then I had my Super Nintendo 64 that I still have, or back in the days we had the PlayStations and Harvest Moon. Oh, I loved Harvest Moon so much. Pokemon Arena, those kind of games. I actually was a console player for a long time. And PlayStation has always been my favorite besides of Super Nintendo. But later, I don't know, I ended up playing more with people together and competitive games. And then a PC is just better, in my opinion.
Hear that, everybody? Hear that, everybody? She just confirmed it. PC is better.
PC Master Race.
Yes.
Console peasants.
It is what it is.
You mentioned Super Nintendo, though. I have very, very fond memories of being a child and Super Nintendo. That's about the roots of gaming for me too. All those throwback games, Marios and.
Are you a 90s child too?
Yeah. I was born in 87, so I'm a 90s kid.
Best years. But everybody says that about their childhood, I guess.
Oh, we had the best stuff. We really did.
Especially that we didn't have freaking phones. We had the
Yep.
best childhood.
I
We all
agree.
have been outside and played actually
I
outside.
mean, speaking of not having phones, how was the telegraph, Chris?
How was it? Well, you had to wait a long time to get a message. Carrier pigeons just dropped it on the porch in the morning.
You're giving them credit. I thought it was the Pony Express, but
I'm trying to think of when I got my first phone. I think I was like 16. So it's
That
weird
old.
now. Kids get phones now when they're like
yeah.
8, 5.
yeah, I was in high school.
And they get to play with high-end phones already.
Right?
Yeah. I see a lot of little children already playing with the smartphones from their parents.
I mean, 3 of us here might remember there was this phone called the Sidekick that I thought was so cool. You just flipped open the screen and there was a little keyboard there, and I was like, oh, I'm so badass.
I had the StarTAC.
Was that even a phone?
Star Trek what?
StarTAC. The Motorola
Yep.
StarTAC. Yeah. I think that was the very first cell phone I ever bought when I was in my mid-20s.
Did it come
that
with a backpack?
Yeah, is that the one with the battery pack and the long
oh my
antenna?
god, holy.
Yeah.
holy shit.
At the time, it was super technologically advanced. It was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh, a blue backlight.
Well, it replaced the ham radio. Of course, it was technologically advanced.
Ugh.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
That's a question. We just talked about how old technology was. How do you think streaming is going to be different 10, 15 years from now?
That's a good question. I fear that the main aspect is kind of going away from gaming itself, and that there's more like TV or real TV stuff that you had in like TV channels before that are taking place on streaming platforms with big shows and stuff like that. That gamers, like real hardcore gamers, could kind of suffer from that. That is a little bit of a fear that I have. But you never know.
I recently just heard something. Didn't an NFL, an American football game, broadcast on Twitch? I thought I seen something. Something was broadcasting on Twitch recently.
Really?
I think they're going to broadcast the Super Bowl.
There's
Is that
also
what
already
it is?
handball
Yeah.
competitions and stuff.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so they're moving into doing stuff like that now. I could see why that could be fearful.
Yeah, I mean, it is really cool, and I celebrate that, and it's cool for Twitch and everything. It's just if you're like a really passionate gamer, you won't really have the platform for it anymore. But I still, yeah.
I'd watch the APEcast show.
Yeah, I mean,
a laugh track.
I'm also not only gaming anymore, but it's still a main content of my channel. I want to try to be just gaming as long as I can with some like variety aspects like cooking or sports or whatever, or talks, podcasts.
Do you think you'll ever look into streaming VR games?
No, I would do it for like testing it out or anything if someone has a setup, but it's nothing that you have no interaction. People just see you walking around that headset. It's nice for like one stream, but not as a main content.
Yeah, I saw this one person do a VR stream, and I don't know how they had it set up, but like they had their chat in their headset, so they were responding while they were playing the game.
That is cool.
They were playing a game called Squad, which is like an FPS kind of PvP game or whatever. And while they were like going through buildings and stuff, their chat was up in the corner, and they were just sitting there reading it, talking to people while they were, breaking through doors and jumping over windows. And I'm like,
oh, that's really
Man.
cool.
Like
Yeah.
Iron Man.
You would definitely have to work out for that, man. Could you imagine
Yeah.
doing a 4-hour stream on a VR?
VR stream.
You'd be exhausted.
You're out of shape.
In
by
a
the time
little
it's
room,
over.
especially.
I played 20 minutes of Beat Saber, and I need a nap.
Oh, Beat Saber. That is really interesting. I would love to try it one day. I think it's really funny to watch.
So I wanted to ask you really quickly about sponsorships because let's face it, that's the meat and potatoes of how you earn your money. Have you ever had to turn down a sponsor for any reason?
Yeah, I just recently turned down a sponsoring offer from a company who sells energy drinks.
Right.
Simply because I do like caffeine and I drink coffee in my stream. I also don't have something against any or every energy brand, but if it's something that adds like sugar and additionally caffeine and some other side products that I don't think are healthy, I do not want to like hurt my my viewership. And that's some sort of thing. I'm really, really, really careful because I have a big authenticity.
Yes,
Help me
authenticity.
out. Authenticity. And I want to keep that, and I don't want to like bring any damage over my brand or like recommend any shit that I would never use myself, even though if they pay a lot. That's something.
It. I mean, you're a brand.
It shows your morals too. You won't just chase the paycheck. You actually stick to your guns and will only promote stuff that you respect or will use yourself, which is good.
Absolutely, it's scary. And I see sometimes if I play a game, people want to play the game as well, or they download the game, or they buy the product. So I have a huge responsibility, and I would never abuse that. So,
I think that makes you a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in the end, there are also alternatives, healthy energy drink alternatives. I'm always up for suggesting that or trying it out. I just recently also tried one without sugar and caffeine, and there are always alternatives.
Now, with sponsorship being brought up and you obviously saying you turned down the energy drink company, I'm assuming the energy drink company approached you.
Yeah.
Now, most of the sponsorship, is it you approaching somebody, them approaching you? What's the difference there? How's that come in?
Also, actually, it doesn't really happen that you get approached, or if you wait for it. Like I see some streamers posting on Twitter, "Oh man, I had my email since years in my bio. I never got approached. This doesn't work." That's not the way it works. You have to fight. You have to showcase yourself. You have to show your strengths. Nobody will know about your channel if you just write or if you just wait for them to contact you. So I use a sponsoring deck that I created throughout the last year. And that helped me to approach sponsors, and I showcase my channel with all my strengths and what I've achieved or what I'm especially good in, which you might not see just from the viewer numbers, because channels can be so much more than numbers, and just the viewer number doesn't tell anything about the revenue a company could bring or the traction and the clicks and stuff.
So by a sponsorship deck, it's basically that's your portfolio that you can approach, or your resume or whatever. That's awesome.
Exactly. There's everything inside about me, what I do, what I've been doing already, what I offer.
That's awesome.
That is some fascinating material. I know that. I mean, a lot of people don't think of this stuff, and I guess that's the overarching theme of this entire show is, hey, I want to be a streamer. I want to play video games for a living.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder than I think people give it credit for.
Yeah, I also think it's sometimes really hard to also some people always say they don't make a living, or then I see them complaining about their income and stuff. But in the end, if you put a little bit of effort into it, you find so many sources. There are pages on the internet where you can have a look and apply for playing a game for like 2 hours, and you get paid for it. Even though if it's just like $30 or $40, or let's say it's $20, you can apply. Maybe it suits your community, maybe it suits your channel, and you get to play a new game, you get to showcase some new content or an indie game. There are always ways, if you work your ass off, if I may say so, to create some revenue, right? You I think personally you have to think outside of the box and have to find ways to monetize outside of Twitch. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna survive.
Right.
Do
the work.
This is an assumption of mine, but I think a lot of people, when they go into streaming, they think, hell yeah, I'm going to play video games for a living. And they don't realize that playing the video games is probably only like 5% of what you actually do.
Yeah.
The rest of it is so much more. And they probably don't either, like you said, either realize or they're just too damn lazy.
You can do it like that. You can just come online and play your game. And especially if you play a main game, there's not much to prepare, right?
But you'll never make it as like a full-time profession doing it that way, though, would you?
Maybe you would even make it if it's like a game genre that is a little bit underrated. You have like a big community, but it's not one of the biggest categories on Twitch. So you might get seen and you grow to a couple of viewers. Well, then you can. It is possible. It could be possible, of course.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who just game and do nothing like advertisement or anything, but it depends really on the people on the channel, on the support of the community or anything. If they want to put a lot of pressure, I mean, some people are fine with just living off of Twitch income, but it makes you mentally unstable if you have to worry about your numbers, or a month doesn't work so well, because you end up coming on stream and talking about your financial problems and struggles, and that's something that you actually don't want to do, or at least I really hate it.
Turns people off.
Yeah, or it makes them support you and you seem like you beg for money. I mean, if it's their concept, it's okay. I just don't like it about myself. And of course, you sometimes end up also sharing private struggles or anything. But I say, if it's mostly cool and you're having a good time and you share sometimes a personal struggle about health or anything or family, that is fine, because you are one online family in a way, even though you don't share your address with everyone. But I still call it an online family. I spend 24/7 days a week with those people, especially during lockdown.
With Twitch where it is now, do you think it's harder to break into streaming than when you started 5 years ago?
It's definitely harder because the discoverability is worse. And I think back then you, like per stream, you made a couple of followers and now almost none. I kind of get all my followers through other social media channels where I redirect my followership. It's hard. You have to work on like Insta or Twitter or TikTok and get your community, grow your community there, and then redirect them. I do think it's really just an exception that you really grow on Twitch nowadays. So if I could give an advice, if I would start streaming now and I wanted to do it as a profession, I would start growing viewership on like Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or Insta and focus on one of those to be really good at one of those. Doesn't have to be all of them. And then tell them, hey guys, this is my first stream. You might want to come over there, twitch.tv/blah, blah, blah. And then you have already some people watching you.
Right. It always comes back to social media, doesn't it?
Yeah, nowadays especially.
Chris loves the social media.
Oh, I love it.
And their customer support.
Goodness. Don't get me started on the Facebook. Ugh.
When it comes to streaming, what are your takes on streaming like a new game on release? Is it better to wait? Because I know as soon as the game comes out, everybody streams it.
Yep.
So do you think it's better to stream it with everybody, or maybe wait a couple months, or maybe even a year and stream it later?
Like if you, for example, get sponsored for the game, or you are already a bit bigger that you anyway might get seen, I think it's really good for the channel to stream it. But if you're not, if you're rather smaller, you definitely gonna get lost. Additionally, I think you sponsor your viewers too much, and I like to give them like 1 week or 2 weeks ahead so they actually played the game already, and then they can come in my stream and watch it after like 2 weeks. And then it's mostly better for me because the hype is already gone and the category is not that big anymore, but not that small. And that's mostly the most success in those times when I stream it. Not directly at the release.
Well, I'll tell you what, Becca, all of this has been a huge learning experience for me, being an old guy who doesn't quite get the video game stuff. All you kids with your fancy Pac-Man video games.
That's us.
But I do want to say this. In just talking with you here, you seem like a very nice person. I think it's great. Thank you. I think it's great what you're doing for the online community. I think it's great that you have so many followers, and I want to let you talk about some of the things you want to talk about real quick. You want to give a shout out to your listeners and plug yourself?
Yeah, sure. Of course. First of all, thank you for having me, and it was my pleasure. And I'm always happy to explain to people who are really interested in the job field what it is about, who don't think I just play games. I really want to say shout out to my community because of you guys, the last year hasn't been that bad for me. I was blessed enough to still keep my job in those hard times, and you made every day a highlight for me because it's always exciting. I have something to look forward to every day, and this means a lot to me.
Very good. And where can people find you and contact you?
You can join my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/APEcast, and you'll find all the links over there. Discord. Join our Discord if you want to hang out.
Join our TikTok. It's funny. I enjoy it.
The TikTok. All right. Well, on that note, we are going to wrap this episode of CTS up. If you like what you hear, please share and share alike. We depend on your word of mouth to help grow. And I want to thank Bekka, a.k.a. APEcast, for being our guest today. And we want you to subscribe, hit that like button, or do whatever you got to do to keep following CTS. We appreciate you. For Gopher Mike, for Mr. Fierro, and for Becca, a.k.a. the APEcast. Find her on Twitch. Have a great day. See ya.
The deadline for your self-assessment tax return is January 31st. If you're worried about paying, do your tax return and check online to see if you can get time to pay. For further information, go to gov.uk/self-assessment. Remember, the deadline is January 31st. Do yours today.
Hi, I'm Warwick Davis, and you may know me as the little fella off the telly, but I'm also big in business. Listen to my new podcast series, Figureheads, where I chat to sporting trailblazers, dance revolutionaries, and entertainment innovators, finding out how they navigated their business through some extraordinary events and situations. You'll pick up useful skills and tips from the most unlikely of places, all brought to you by Barclaycard Business. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.